Hey everybody, Tom Foster here with the Legal Marketing Edge, and my guest today is the one and only Jay Henderson. So Jay, tell me a little bit about Jay Henderson and what you do.
Well, I have a unique science that measures how people think and how they make decisions, and I use that science to help business owners make sure they're hiring the right people and getting the best that they can for their business.
And we've been working together. I've been working with you to make sure that we hire the right people for about 3 years now, right? Yeah. And how many tests have we run?
Probably about 30 or 40.
Yeah. I haven't hired 30 or 40 people, and that's one of the big benefits of it is that not only does it help me as a business owner hire people, but it also lets me not hire people that I might otherwise, right?
Yeah, well, it's important to make sure that there's a good fit. It's a big investment, and we want to make sure that we're getting people that will be happy here and be successful here and that you'll be happy with.
And it's funny because as business owners, we get all excited about, oh, this is probably the perfect person for us, and we almost convince ourselves into it because we've been needing some help for so long. You justify it, right?
Totally. Yeah, I find that most business owners do that. I mean, hiring is really, it can be painful. It's not fun, and it's not easy to know who to hire. And so when we have needs, the pressures of the business demand that we get people who will help us get those needs met. And then we're too open, hoping that everyone we meet with is just the right person, and then we get sold.
Right, because we hear what we want to hear, and we ignore what we don't want to know.
It's
about.
true. We do ignore what we don't want to know. Yeah.
So Jay, you have a little interesting story, your background. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in doing this?
Yeah, well, everyone probably has heard of Stephen Covey, who wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he wrote a couple of other books. And I spent 5 years running the Central United States for Stephen Covey as it pertains to the First Things First book, working with clients all over the Central U.S. and teaching Stephen's materials. And then I went from the Covey Leadership Center to another firm where we taught leaders and managers of Fortune 500 companies how to coach other people to higher performance. And there at that company, they had me actually complete this really weird exercise that before they hired me. And so I did that. And when I went into my first interview, the CEO, he just knew me like a book, and it was shocking. It was amazing to me what he knew about me. And because I got hired, I later had the opportunity to learn that system and learn more about it and use it for hiring myself. And so, yeah, I became quite amazed by the science, and I grew up I love people, and I grew up thinking about and being fascinated by how people think and how they make decisions, and I did psychology in college, and when I found out that you could actually measure how people think and how they make decisions with this level of accuracy, I just couldn't get enough of it. So I'd been studying now for 17 years with the worldwide guru, Wayne Carpenter, who has taught me everything that I know about the science, and it's been a lot of fun.
And it works. I'm a client. It works for us, but also you do a compatibility test.
Yeah, we have, a person can complete this exercise one time, and we can run about 80 reports, 80 different reports. Now, we don't need to run 80 different reports for people. It depends on their needs. But in your case, with Rem and Ben, we actually ran compatibility analyses because you're kind of a team who work together. Mm-hmm. So it helps you all understand exactly what's happening when you're communicating with each other and how to communicate with each other better.
So tell me a little bit about your company, and because you do lots of different things, and you said you could do 80 different reports. But why don't you explain a little bit about first of all, what is the name of your company and what does it do?
So we're Real Talent Hiring, and we have a service that helps business owners make sure they're hiring the right people. And then we also take it further. We do compatibility reports where there's communication, helping top teams understand how to communicate with one another and understand one another, because there's just too many assumptions that take place. Mm-hmm. Two people can be trying to say the same thing for a several-year period, and actually, because of their communication style, seeming like they're saying totally different things. And so assumptions get in the way of high performance, and not understanding exactly where that person's coming from and why they are saying the types of things that they're saying can really get in the way. So with some organizations who we talk about communication with the top team and helping them make sure they're on the same page, as well as understanding once, say we do a hiring analysis on someone. All right, from that point, you can use that report for coaching and development. It's not just the hiring piece. There's actually a lot of information in there that helps you know, how do I work with this person going forward? How do I motivate them? How do I get the best out of them? So it's just really, driving performance in an organization is really a lot about understanding the people in your organization and who they are and how they think.
So you're a perfect client. Now, I'm a web marketing company, but you're more business to business, B2C, B2B than obviously consumer. But you work with my company. You work with lawyers.
Yes.
Doctors. What are some
Yes.
other?
Yeah, primarily I've worked a lot with attorneys and a lot with podiatrists and doctors, dentists, and working a lot more and more with hospitals, hospital corporations with hiring physicians and nurses and other hospital staff. So, but yes, being that it's B2B, measuring people is, people are the same, everywhere. I can measure the same competencies. There's management competencies, sales competencies, physician competencies, nurse competencies, and we can measure all those things. So really we can help anyone. We do have our areas that we like to work with and our clients that are special to us that we like to help out. And we have areas of expertise that over the last 4.5, 5 years, we've done a lot of work with attorneys and podiatrists and doctors and dentists and so forth. So, and we've done actually tremendous amounts of work with hospitals, some of the largest hospitals in America.
Well, I mean, hiring people is very expensive. I mean, there's a lot of things that go with it. And so, you're not going to really find out whether this person's going to work out for months down the road.
That's true.
And, with workers' comp and all the expenses that, employers have for people, you got to really make sure that you have as much information as you can.
I think so. I think that the goal really when you're hiring is a couple of things. Number one, I think that you want to make sure that you're not too open. You're not willing to be sold by someone who you find to have a great resume or a great personality or they do a great job in the interview. There's a lot more to it than that. And your second goal is to remove all emotion and gather as much data as you possibly can about that person. So you use all that data as if you put it all in a bucket and, so removing that emotion. And the number one reason people hire is based on enthusiasm. That's the number one reason people make a hiring decision. Mm-hmm. If someone's enthusiastic, we hire them.
Oh, because of the person?
Yeah, if the candidate is enthusiastic, that's the number one reason. And that's not good.
I like them when they're really depressed.
Yeah. Well, so
I hate working. Those are my favorite ones to hire.
I mean, it's really
So
important.
what is the advice? Stay away from enthusiastic people?
Well, it's not a matter of staying away from them, but you don't hire just because they're enthusiastic.
Don't hire happy people.
It's not just because they're, and I know you are. And then, it's gut. You're using your gut. That's the number one reason people use their gut when they're making hiring decisions. And you should use your gut instincts and your intuition. I think it's a definite form of intelligence. But not only that.
And my next question is, tell me your science behind the testing. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a gentleman had a theory that at the core of every person's decision making, there are three dimensions, so to speak, of making a decision. So when you take every decision that you make and that people make, you basically bring it down to three specific areas. And those areas are the intrinsic dimension of life, or things of the heart, the practical dimension, which basically are practical, functional, and material values, and the system dimension, which is basically about perfection. It's ideas and thoughts. It's honoring thoughts and thinking and perfection. And what I like about, so we're measuring these three core decision-making dimensions. We're not trying to measure behavior. In fact, we don't measure behavior. And 99% of the tools in the market measure behavior, and they're great. But some of that process through which they gain the data that they gain is subjective. And this is an objective science. So this man had this theory, as I talked about, these three decision-making dimensions, and then he spent 40 years trying to prove it. And he actually did prove it using advanced calculus and mathematics. And he was nominated for a Nobel Prize in 1973 with his research about how people see the world and how they value things as good or bad.
Who is this person?
Robert S. Hartman.
Okay, you guys check your facts on that.
Yeah, Robert S. Hartman.
Okay.
And so that's a little bit about the science. And so people complete a simple exercise where they rank items against each other. There's no questions. And we from that process, we know a tremendous amount about who they are and how they think and their levels of emotional control and all kinds of interesting things that are important to know. Rather than just their type. You know, they fit in this kind of a role, they tend to fit in this kind of a role. They're dominant, they're an influencer, they're compliance-oriented.
And we're going to talk more about that right after this commercial break. So Jay, I find, you know, the reports are great and all that, but and they're very informative. But one of the things that I find very helpful after getting the report is the time with you, the consultancy of what it means. Right. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So first of all, I really care that my clients understand. I'm not trying to just push paper out there. I really want to help my clients make the best decision they possibly can for them and their business. And you know, the report comes back. It's a 5-page report. It's basically 4 pages of information. It's a down and dirty kind of an at-a-glance style. It's pretty quick data points. But there's all this background information that the report, because it's not 50 or 75 pages, right? Nobody wants to get a 50-page report and try to read through that and remember everything and make sense out of it. So we have a quick risk analysis. It's 4 pages long. But there's a lot of information that, you know, even though my clients really could and should take each word literally, and if they took each word literally, they would actually know more about that person than maybe that person's mother knows. But I want to get on the phone and make sure there's complete understanding about what it is that is there, and help them, actually guide them through the decision. Because even though they have that data there, so there's low risk as a result, a profile that comes back, this person's a low risk hire, which is good. That's what we want. We want low risk, right? And there's a real risk hire. There's more than that to it. But in essence, you know, a low risk doesn't always mean they're the perfect fit. So that's just an example of why we want to get on the phone. And I mean, I'd love it if people just bought profiles and the internet did it all and it sent them that PDF and I was playing golf all day, which would be fun. But I really want to get on the phone and help my clients make the best decision that they possibly can. And I love my clients. I enjoy talking to my clients, so it's fun.
And that's why you're not a very good golfer.
That's right. I used to be, and then I got serious.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing about it is is getting that feedback from you. I think one of our last calls, a few calls back, we were talking about a very important hire, and you gave me some great advice. And one of it was, see if you can make this person mad at your next interview to see what their reaction is. And I thought that's interesting advice. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a big, important position. And so you want to make sure that certainly I can work with them, and you need to try to get them in all those. You're making a big financial decision.
You are. So and you know, the thing about making someone mad is really based on that person's results, right? That was the point. It was based on their results.
Because you were like, they're going to do this, this, or this.
Yeah. Yeah, and so what we want to do is the reason I said that primarily is let's test the test.
Yeah.
Let's so what you want to do in an interview is let's reveal and see if what this thing's saying about this person. Let's see if we can see that. And that's what page 5, the last page, does. The last page tells you, here are tips to interview this person if you're going to interview them again, it's an important decision based on the results that we have here. So let's see, just how accurate the report is. And I have many clients who've never used page 5, that interview process. And I've had them call me and say, Jay, I just used that for the first time ever, and wow, what an experience, because I could see right in front of me the very things that this is telling me to look out for. I saw it with my own eyes. You see, because in an interview, we don't know what questions to ask individuals because we don't know them well enough to understand what are the key things you want to bring. And they say, you know what people say? They say, how did you know that about me? And they say that all the time.
Well, this is the next question I have here is, what are the most common mistakes? You already said one about enthusiasm, hiring people on enthusiasm. So what are some other common mistakes that you see?
So not having a really clear hiring process, not understanding a good structured hiring process where it's designed to gather as much data about the person as you possibly can. My exercise that we've been talking about is really one part of the whole process. You're putting ads out there. What are those ads like? Who are we looking for? Most people don't create a profile of the role. In other words, we're going to hire for this position. What is everything we can know about this position? Who was successful in this role in the past? What were they like? Right. What were the characteristics of it? So it's not understanding the whole hiring. It's inventing
your perfect employee.
It is. It's deciding who exactly is going to really do well in this role. And then when you do that, it's like setting a goal for your business. If you don't set goals for your business, your brain won't help you operate in the way necessary to drive what you want in your business. Same thing with hiring. Let's find out exactly who we want in here so that our brain will know when we're seeing it better. So that, not having a clear hiring process is a mistake. Not doing the reference checks, not knowing how to properly do reference checks, because that's
a whole thing I would like to do a better job is learning about how to do proper reference checks too. Yeah. Because I imagine that if you want somebody, once again, you're going to just, how did they do? And you're going to hear whatever you want to hear. And most people, if they get put on a reference, they're going to say nice things about them unless you ask the right questions.
Yes, you got to have the right questions, and there are some little strategies and tips and things you can do to get through that process better.
I'm going to remember to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we need to do it. And one more mistake actually is not really understanding the cost of a bad hire. Right. It's hard to measure. The Society for Human Resource Management gives 6 things you should be measuring to determine how expensive a bad hire is. And every industry has their kind of norms, but by my experience, those are a little bit low, those numbers. So,
well, I guess it depends upon what you're doing. Like hiring somebody to be your administrative assistant, or I don't know, HR is much different than hiring an associate or a paralegal or a doctor, where the consequences of getting the wrong person could be much greater.
Yeah, like in hospitals, think about that. A doctor, a nurse, and the mistakes that are made, and hospitals being sued, and the legalities, and people's lives, or a business owner and their $20,000, $30,000 a year receptionist who's not getting paid a whole lot of money, but who turns away potentially a $100,000 deal, and that happens all the time.
And that I just wanted to ask you this, because I can see that, because I see this a lot, and I'm sure you do too. Lawyers and doctors, they go out and they don't have a whole lot of resources, perhaps, and so they try to get one person that can do it all. And so they get somebody that's supposed to be a legal assistant and make them do marketing things. And then, of course, it doesn't work out. And they're like, so going to your know who you want.
Yes.
So don't try to make one person do everything. That's just not going to happen. Why don't you tell me a little bit about some of these organizations that you've worked with in the past?
Well, interestingly, I've got an interesting story for you, but the worldwide guru, the New York Yankees, had 4 sports psychologists. One of them was a good friend of mine, a PhD in sports psychology, and he was telling me this story because he found out I worked with Wayne and had learned this science. He said the New York Yankees said to him, go find a tool that measures what's going on with people, so we can use that at the New York Yankees. And they found Wayne, and within 2 weeks they had fired the sports psychologist, and Wayne became their head person with a 2-year contract. And actually, and this guy, the sports psychologist, it wasn't Wayne that told me this, it was the sports psychologist said, I got fired because I found Wayne for them.
And Wayne is the worldwide
he's the guy
guru
that, yeah,
okay.
he's the gentleman that has taken Hartman's science and refined the math and put it all online and has written over 80 reports that we can get of all kinds of competencies and all kinds of roles. But so the science is so remarkable about what it can reveal about a person that it can be very helpful that even the New York Yankees would use it. But we do work with very large corporations. HCA, which is Hospital Corporations of America, they're about a $40 billion a year business. We just did a benchmark last year of about 109 of every doctor in 190 hospitals, and found 9 characteristics that cause doctors to fail in their culture.
Wow.
Now, those same doctors might succeed very well in a different healthcare environment, but not at this healthcare environment. Other large organizations, Hilton Corporation, they're rolling it out worldwide. And of course, my business also, we have a service helping small business owners to make sure that they're making the right hiring decisions.
Well, you've always been very accessible and helpful to us and very responsive with all of these. I didn't know that you had all these big dog clients. Did you?
Yeah. Well, they're not all my clients. I'm one of 8 master certified consultants in the world, and about 4 of us work with hiring. Okay. And so some of these clients are some of these other consultants'
As a result,
clients
of the
science, and but I'm involved in some of that.
Okay, very good. So you offer leadership, succession planning. What is this?
Yeah, well, this is just helping larger
leadership development.
Yeah.
I'm interested in knowing, not the succession part.
You don't want to leave just yet? Well, yeah, so we're able to help organizations determine who should be the next person to hire and to put in a leadership position. So we do a lot of that kind of work, and team building and communication workshops and development of people and so forth.
So Jay.
Yes, sir.
If someone wants to take the J test, which is what I call it, how would they get a hold of you?
So they can go to hirerealtalent.com, all right? And there's a form there that they can fill out, and it'll come to us and let us know that they'd like us to call them. You can call 919-518-2793 to get a hold of us. You can email jay@realtalenthiring.com. You can email info@realtalenthiring.com.
You have lots of choices. Okay, very good. So if you're interested in getting some help in your hiring process, Jay's the guy. I use him. Ben uses him. Ram, a bunch of lawyers that I work with, I recommend you. There's no one else I could recommend, and I've done these tests before too, but nothing else is spot on like Jay's test. The J test.
Thank you.
We're going to get that domain.
We need to do that. Okay. That's a good point.
Thanks, Jay. Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Take care now. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Tom Foster with The Legal Marketing Edge. Thank you very much, and see you soon.